Hello, today is December 1st, 22, and we will start the Kubebuilder control runtime and controller tools meeting. Let's start. New faces. I don't think we have new faces. Have we?
I'm kind of new. My name is Dan, and I'm from a group called Migrate in Google. And I'm interested learning more about controller runtime and Kubebuilder since we're using this as part of our products.
That's cool. Welcome. We changed the time, and it shows that today a lot of people had a conflict in the agenda. So we don't have too much people today. Let's see if we can increase for the next ones. So the next topic is community interests, right? I think the first one was mine. I think I don't know if you agree, folks. I understand that in the last meeting, the community asked for a new release, right? And I would like to propose, I don't know if you all you agree, we just do that after we merge decide if you will merge or not the PR for the layout change. I think everybody convene like move and change the layout, right? More just merge that. Why? Because when we do the next release, I think it would be nice we say that we will remove the Go V2 in the follow-up one. So people will try to probably upgrade the project if they did not. So maybe they want to use the Go V4 alpha, right?
I just had one comment on this. So right now, when I looked into the Kubebuilder repository, there were two PRs which would add like a significant feature to Kubebuilder. One was the one which Camila just now mentioned, the change of layout according to the Go standards. And the next one is the metrics plugin, which is basically scaffolding out the best practices for having the metrics using a new plugin, which is monitoring plugin. Like I wanted to bring this up, like it will be good to have a release in Kubebuilder, but do we want to block our release or wait for these two PRs to merge in? Or if the community immediately wants a new release, then we can cut a new release with the alpha changes and then cut again a new release after this monitoring plugin is included.
I think what you're saying makes sense. My only motivation for we get to choose one message is because I believe that we should remind people again that in the next one, we remove Go V2. About this one, I think we need to discuss, right? If this plugin is something that you want to receive in the project, what are the value? Do you want to keep that maintained, or should we, or is a good candidate for external plugins?
Yeah, so there was a bit of discussion on this during the last meeting. So the idea was to, like, external plugin is something which we definitely want to encourage because it's difficult to maintain. But the folks wanted the monitoring plugin, Kubebuilder, to support monitoring plugin, like pretty urgently. Like this was like more kind of a priority since more of the folks were asking. So we thought of moving with the phase 1.5 plugin, which is what we have now, to get an idea, to get the like the sentiments of the community, if they like the plugin or not, and all those things. and then probably move this to an external plugin later, because doing an external plugin right away would be an added effort to the current team. So we thought of having this as 1.5 right now and moving it to a phase 2 plugin and as a follow-up.
Okay, so can we discuss this PR, or what he things do we have in the agenda? I think the next one is this one, right? You put it here,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. Is
So I can share the issue of this plugin. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think the authors of this plugin are not in the meeting right now, but I can share the issue which they had created.
I think I can find it here. I think this is new, right? Is adding monitor plugin,
307.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the idea of the plugin is like help people how they can let me know if I'm wrong, how they can implement the metrics, their own metrics, right? In the project, follow good practice, right?
Yeah.
That is fine. Then I was looking here, right? What the plugin does. Let me know. I'll put my point of view, right? So here we have these new targets. One, to build the document, and the other two, I think both here is to build the documents, right? They need to build the utils that build the documents, and then they have a target to actually build the documents. Then I was looking here. Let's go in the chains, right? What it changes. That adds a dependence, that you have only this line in the init, and that adds this readme. I didn't read that, so I don't comment about that. And then that adds the example of the metrics, right? And we have these metrics here just to use. And then we have these utils things. So if you want to, we have two utils. Actually, the plugin shows for me that you only do two things. Scaffold code, like a util, like a lib, to generate the metrics, and the other thing is scaffold code, like a lib, to generate a bin that you generate the documents for the metrics.
Yeah, that's right.
So if let's imagine, if you want to provide methods, functions to help people create the metrics, would that fit in the scaffold in my own project, or would that fit in a lib, like operator lib, like a controller runtime, like something that I can import and then use? Because then all projects that I have, you have the same code. And if I want something that generates a binary that generates the documents for that metrics, should not be provided for another project that I only consume the binary as well, like a controller chain. I'm not saying that that should go in controller chain, but my point, the point that I want to cross is like, what is the value of I have a project and have this stuff scaffold there? Should not that implementation go in a third project as a lib? And this lib provides the binary, however, and the documentation with the suggestions, and etc.
So I understand the question. The question is more like if this is something which is getting scaffolded, this is the common method which is getting scaffolded, then having it in a library makes more sense than just scaffolding it out. But the eventual idea for scaffolding the documentation was, say, for example, I have a custom metric in my project, which basically finds out the time to reconcile a resource. Now, to have the best practice of having a documentation for it in a specific place inside the project, using this plugin, I can just scaffold that out and include the details about my custom metric in that scaffolding.
But if it
So
should be in a lib, I cannot only use the lib in my project and see the documentation there in that project that is responsible for provide these features.
So having the documentation in a, like having the function and methods in the library makes sense. But having it is like scaffolding a skeleton code. So for example, how we scaffold like a README in a Kubebuilder project. Now we scaffold out the basic things in the README and then people can include things about their project. So the same way, this plugin scaffolds the basic things, like how to use a metric, how to get things about all, like how to add a new alert for your particular metric, and what does this alert mean. Say I have added a new alert in my project. Now you want to explain what that alert means. Then you can just add it in the README. It is similar to having a README in a Kubebuilder project. This is like having doc in a custom project.
Okay, that will be the region, right? But okay, but the let's see. I'll come back here.
And then the best practice of having the documentation is usually inside this tool slash monitoring slash in a specific location. So
Yeah.
this just does imposes that kind of structure.
Yeah, if I go there and I have a project, right? I want a
Mhm.
resume of my project, right? How I deploy my project, how I test my project. Probably I will want to have a contribution guide as well, how I contribute with my project, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So that we have been scaffold because all methods are by default, right? So, okay, the plugin scaffold, the readme is okay. But my point is like 90% of what the plugin does shows not a fit in a project itself, shows better fit in a lib. So should we don't need to decide today, but or everybody can disagree as well. Like the point that I would like to that we think about is that something that really fits in a scaffold and a plugin, is that really something that you want to support and keep in the project. Like we really want to provide a plugin that scaffolds binaries and utils and like a code for that will be in all projects. Like would that the best way to address the needs?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I don't have the answer for it right away because these were a bunch of authors from the OpenShift monitoring team who were contributing. But I'm in touch with them async, so I can point them out to look at the discussion and try to explain it to them. And I'll invite them for the next community meeting so that they can put their point of view also, because I don't want to speak for the point of view which they have. So I'll definitely get in touch with them and ask them to look into this.
Yeah, like I'm trying to raise the questions, right? For we convey if it is good or not, right? Because every plugin that we add, we need to support, we need to keep maintaining, right? And we don't have too much contributors in the project. But that is fine if we see that that plugin is useful for 80% of the community. I think we should move forward, right? Or a biggest part of the community. It's something that people is reading, asking that. And the plugin actually adds value for the project. But I might be wrong. I didn't review properly, but the points that I want to cross is like, if that should fit better in a lib, in a library, should we really accept it as a plugin? Do you know? Because we could use it like we could accept a document that say, okay, we have this library, we have this project, we have this project that provide a library and a binary and provide the best practices for Prometheus, right? And you can use that in the Kubebuilder projects, right? But should we accept the plugin or not? These things only for we think about. Uh, we don't need to convey any like a solution today.
Yeah, I agree. I'll talk to the authors and I'll start a discussion on the Slack channel so that they can also contribute, because my understanding was, so for example, uh, we use Kubebuilder in it. We scaffold a project and then I add a custom monitoring to say a reconciler. Now, for a user who is trying to use this project, if they would like to know how to use a custom monitor, they need to look into the proper documentation. So what an author can do is use this plugin, scaffold out a bunch of readmes and bunch of documentations so that they need not write a documentation for their custom metric time and again. This project would enforce the best practices of adding a Prometheus or a monitoring kind of a setup. But
And
I'll again like defer this to the authors and I'll start the discussion on that.
that is fine. That is fine. Just trying to think about, but definitely, I catch.
Yeah, I'll
I didn't spend too much time looking as well, so uh, just a few thoughts.
yeah,
Uh,
I agree that definitely makes sense, because if this is something which is going to be common, it makes sense to have it in a library. But yeah, I'll get the point of view from those folks also.
And I think we have, okay, one thing that we didn't decide is like, uh, should we do the release or should we wait for try to see if you get to choose one message? That is something that we didn't convey, right? We can do the release, and when we should do the release. Um, so the people ask for the release, right? Choose one probably you take more time. Let's do one thing. Can we work on the release to see if you can make that fly next week?
Yeah, I kind of agree with that, because a lot of folks were having like we have a lot of bugs which are fixed. So we can probably do a release next week, and then once the layout changes, PRS, and we can do another release.
So go ahead this next week. Okay. Okay. And the next one, I think it's yours, right? Go for it, Varsha.
So Camila, can you click on the link?
Choose one, choose
The
one.
test data, the follow-up link, the other link of the test data scaffolding.
Okay.
So I just wanted to bring up this very small change. So right now the Grafana plugin scaffolds out the test data, and the folder name for that is project v4 with metrics. And for now, since we were planning to have other plugins which were related to metrics, which included this documentation and stuff, I felt that with metrics suffix, like is kind of misleading, because we are not scaffolding a plugin with metrics. We are just scaffolding a plugin, a project with Grafana, a dashboard support. So I thought if it would be fine, like especially Tony, since you are the author of the plugin, will you be fine if we can change just the folder name to project V4 with Grafana, or with Grafana dashboard, like something which has this Grafana name?
Why that was changed? It was because of this one, right? I-
Not
i- If we accepted this one, and if you accepted the other one, should we have 3 samples, or would it be possible put the 3 ones that are more kind of related in the same sample?
Yeah, it would make sense to put it in the same sample, or even actually include all of these plugins into a single tree. But for now, as like as an
Before,
initial step,
before, before we decide if the other you are not accepted, we change the name for Grafana. That is the
yeah,
proposal.
yeah, because it makes more sense to say that this is Grafana than this is metrics plugin. It's just the name of the this test data sample folder. If it's fine with like everyone.
Yeah, I think this is a good idea. Just like Kamala just mentioned, like previously it was because when trying to add the kube state metrics, then we're thinking if we can have the naming to be more general. And when considering like the monitoring plugin, and I was trying to like renaming it with metrics, just like the intention for in the future, where we can have all of those plugins to be tested in this simple project. But that's just for sure, like said that maybe for now, maybe it's better to like turn it back to the name as origin, which is with Grafana, because I was also seeing that in the PR of developing the monitoring plugin, it feels like they have some confusion on generating other projects with other names. And it feels like if right now we can just have the with Grafana, then the developer of the monitoring plugin won't be bothered by the scaffolding of the test data. So,
But
yeah,
that is a point, right? I think if they scaffold, right? Look, let's go to their pull request, right? If they scaffold the plugin in the metrics ones, we will not see like many files here. We could only check the difference, what their plugin does, which would make it easier. We decide how much value that it brings or not. Is that make sense? Can I share the thought? Like, for example, if you have the metrics and then they scaffold on top of that, we don't you'll see all these files. You only will see what is different, like what their plugin actually is doing.
So they should be having that kind of scaffolding within it somewhere in the generate.sh, which I had mentioned. I'm not sure if they incorporated the change, but the idea in general, like which I thought of, was Grafana can be a standalone project. So eventually we could have a single test data where we have Grafana plugin, the monitoring plugin, any other plugin related to metrics in the same test data folder. But like, since we don't have everything right now, uh, like with monitoring is kind of misleading for users. But yeah, they should probably be having a separate test data with just the monitoring plugin. I think they are missing in the PR.
The problem if you have so many is like because you are increasing, right? And it's not a big problem actually if it's only the test data, but we need to test as well. So like today we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right. We will have one more. That is fine, right? But that is okay. I can convey. If you folks think that is the best, I go along with. Where is the thing? Okay, so we can agree, release next week, change the suffix for all of the test data matrix to Grafana, right? From matrix. There. Okay, that is enough. Have you any other topic that we need to speak about?
I was just have some concerns on the PR for the monitoring plugin. Just some different thoughts, because like last time when I guess Shirley when bring about the PR, I didn't really know about the context, and so there's some like recent updates in the region issue when like Shirley has bring some more context. And I saw like originally it was root from the operator SDK, where she also has another issue wondering of like how to have some best practices of monitoring our operator SDK. And I saw that there was some discussion over there when wondering about if have some like documentations in Kubebuilder to have some instructions and suggestions for the operator authors to have some good writing format for generating metrics. And so then right now, like they was trying to approach like release such PR for have like a new monitoring plugin. And that feels like it's like very specific to the Prometheus ideas and the stacks. Because I feel like there's one comment in the PR when somebody's mentioned that for the first glance of the name of the monitoring plugin, it feels like some like tools to bring the functions to provide Prometheus stacks so that users don't necessarily to like deploy or configure Prometheus, but just can just directly use the plugin to have those stacks deployed, and they can directly get their metrics and see what's happening. But that is not what this monitoring plugin bring about. And so when I was looking inside, I feel like this monitoring plugin is very focusing on the idea of Prometheus, like how to build metrics, how to generate recording rules and alerting rules. So in my own opinion, it feels like very specific, or it's more like a Prometheus plugin versus like a monitoring plugin.
Yeah.
Because when talking about monitoring, I guess it's not only about metrics, it's possibly including like logging, also tracing, and there's many other things is. And so that's one of the things I was concerning. And also I saw that Kamala and also Bryce has mentioned if this can be a library. And I was also having some concerns on that, because like the basic idea of how you want to bring some good approach to simply implement the metrics looks over really good. And I was thinking if it can also be a library, because as I was like an operator author, I might use Kubebuilder partially, which means my project might not necessarily to be originally scaffolded by Kubebuilder, but I would possibly to utilize some tools from Kubebuilder. For example, the controller runtime or controller gen. Also, in that case, if I was saying, hey, so there's like a feature from the Kubebuilder that can bring some approach to simply implement the metrics. And then if my operator project is not scaffolded by Kubebuilder, it may be hard for me to utilize that. But if it is a library, then possibly I can just import it and have some functions in my code, and I can simply use these functions to generate the metrics. And also, one last thing is, so I guess there's like a number of plugins right now we have are not language specific. For example, the Customize plugin and the Grafana plugin, they're like, regardless of like what the programming language is writing for your operator, you can always use that to like generate your Grafana manifest or generate CRDs. And so for this metrics, it's very specific to the Go programming language, which means if you're using some other programming languages, it's very hard to import this to your project, right? So
I really go along with your idea as well. And I was wondering if like Prometheus has not a repository where a library or some place that they would allow they create like a library there, right? Because as you said, it's a Prometheus thing, and they are importing Prometheus stuff here. I think it has, if we came here in the Go mod, we need to find a one that is not the monitor, right? Is this one, right? They are importing GitHub Prometheus client Go. So why not create the library there, right? Like I'm concerned that it doesn't fit very well, like in Kubebuilder. Could it be a library here? Like I don't know. They are importing things from here, right? Could it not be a utils inside of each one? Why something that is a good practice to work with Prometheus, you'll be outside of Prometheus work project? Why not contribute with this project to have the library there and help any person that uses Prometheus and Golang, no matter if he's an operator, if he's a Kubebuilder or however.
yes.
Also, the other thing is like, why, if he's good documents these metrics, why we need to create a binary that it does that? Have not any solution that it does it already? If he's that good, is the best practice, why doesn't he have?
Yeah, I feel like this is maybe another implementation for
I'm not a skilled in monitor, right? But I have the same feeling like you. Like monitor is something that is logs, is like how you aggregate logs, right? How you I don't know. It's too much, right? It's not a Prometheus thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a concept, right? I think it has a group in, I don't know if he's in the Kubernetes SIG, but I believe that he has a group that he is only to discuss monitoring in Kubernetes, how to monitor the applications, how to improve this area. Let's see, I can try to find that and push it for the next meeting. And we also can suggest like they go there and speak with this group, that are a group of people that are looking for monitor solutions for Kubernetes.
Yes.
Solutions, right? My concern is like, I actually see, my first impression is this solution doesn't fit well as a plugin, and it might not fit well for Kubebuilder that is more generic, right?
Yes. Because like for the Kubernetes community, there's like also some other projects that is focusing on instrumentations, but rather they are more like focusing on populating metrics, not aggregating metrics or visualizing, because how the metrics can be aggregated, how users want to visualize that, it really depends on like how user want the dev stacks from the user side. And Prometheus can be like a very general approach, but it's definitely not the only approach to reach that. For example, there's also like other things like Elasticsearch for go around that. And even if focusing on metrics, I personally feel like for some like the SIG instrumentation teams are trying to do some focusing on how to go over it with open telemetries. That is a more general like specifications on populating metrics. And that is also very general, can be also applied to Prometheus. But in that way, that is more like how to design a metrics, how to make it more general, rather like how to be focusing on very specific dev stacks with monitoring.
I agree. I'm trying to track the things here, but I agree. I don't know if someone would like to speak more about that.
I'll add the comments in the issue based on what we spoke here and probably encourage the authors. But I understand the point of view that is fits into a library, but the value which I feel which we could take from this plugin is the scaffolding of documentation. But I'll try to explain it better in the issue.
Okay. I think we put it here. Have we any other topic that you'd like to speak about? If not, I think we can go to the triage. I don't have the link here for triage. Let's see if I think we have in the past, right? Would you like to do the triage or is that fine?
Yep.
Okay, so this one was open a good time ago by Eric. The idea was using network policy instead of a kube RBAC proxy, right? Which is a Kubernetes API, and then we could remove the dependence of using the image, which today is a side container, right? Then I was looking there, and I put here the motivations. Shows that exactly the motivations is like because the network policy doesn't attend the requirements. So I think this one would be nice, like we discuss if you want or not what is the pros and the cons, but doesn't need to be today as well. Has this person, I don't know if Yashi is trying to do. I'm not against and not in favor as well. I'm just trying to bring that it has reasons for in the past exist this project and in the past that be accepted in the project. So I think we need to have a deeper analysis, like if what is the best for Kubebuilder, right? I try to put here the reference for we be able to discuss. Are you jumping for the next one? Unless someone would like to speak about this one. I think we can leave that and try to bring it to the community as well. Like everybody give their opinion and thoughts.
Yeah, I think as long as there's somebody seems working on that, maybe we can wait and see if there's some updates.
Yeah. I don't know if we should do or not that as well, right? So that is the point. Because in the past existed the network policy and it was decided to use this project to protect is a side container. And what the project does is more than the API.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I I can try to evaluate the different approaches and to see which may be better fits to Kubebuilder. I don't really have some background right now, but I can definitely later on to read about the network policy and the kubeRBAC proxy.
Yeah, I was not working in the project as well when the decision was made, so I don't have the context. I just found like some reference, right? And I try to put there. But if you'll be able to do that, it would be very helpful, because I was thinking like if you could evaluate like as you are saying that you'll be amazed. We also could bring like after the evaluation, bring in the channels and see what everybody thinks, right? And then take the decision. And probably that is a big change as well, right?
Yeah.
So if you will not address that in goal V4, then you'll be like, and we decide to do, you'd be like the next one, right? Goal V5. This one came from the discussion. I don't know. I think Jesus will no longer be able to check this one, so I remove. And this is a bug, right? Bug, I think we don't need triage. But she.
So this one, we had discussed about it before. So I think this was related to controller and timestamp, right? Yeah. So it was related to modifying the path and the scaffolding. So the question was, does controller runtime even allow adding custom paths? Like how does controller runtime serve metrics? Because the code for serving metrics is in that library. So if a path is added, does even controller runtime spin up the server to serve metrics with a custom endpoint? So that was what we were about to look into, but I think Jesus didn't. So I can add a comment on where we have to look into and then probably retriage.
That would be great, I think. If you can add the comments and we try offline, see.
Yeah, I'll add the comment and probably add a help wanted on this.
I can try to do it the next one. This one is frozen, right? It's like we had the config gen. So the idea would be like trying to create a project with using Kubebuilder and use config gen, or see if that could fit in a plugin, like optional. I would be more in favor, like we have a Kubegen, for example, using the code and the Kubebuilder as a lib. Then we have the plugin for the same reasons, right? It's hard to keep one thing and all stuff. But is there like if someone think the idea is nice, and would you like to work on that? I don't know. I think we can, if nobody has objection, we can put like triage accept, leave it there, right?
Yeah, I could work on this issue, but the reason why we kept this open was just because we have a few folks who are using config gen, like who may not be like active, but they have been. I have seen a few projects using config gen, so I just kept this open in the community in case someone wants to
To help.
reply or say, tell, hey, my project will break if you do this, like if there are some comments like that. So I just kept it open just to like wait for any comments which come. So yeah.
Let's see. Can I remove you from here?
Sure. Like based on what the decision is, I can work on moving it to a plugin or moving it to a separate binary, whichever works.
That's how I leave you. If you don't want to work more, you can remove yourself. Okay, the monitor plugin, I think is in the discussion, right?
Yeah, based on what we discussed today, I'll just add a comment on this, and then I'll also talk with the authors to provide their inputs on what we have discussed today.
We can put like a needs more information, maybe.
Yeah, needs discuss. I don't know if needs discussion is good.
Do you have something like that? Let's see.
Yeah, I think there's needs information.
Yeah, we could have like a something like a discussing, right? Or we can leave as well. What do you think that is better, folks? Leave it open and then we come back for the next one.
Yep.
And that is only for the documentation. I think we have in the mailing list, right? A discussion and explain. Varsha put very nice information there about how how the project file works and why we have it. So the only like supplement the documents, right? I think that is fine. Someone has objections?
That sounds good.
Accepted. Let me know if someone has objections. So about this one I didn't see about the rule is
Yeah, so I think the question which the author had is why is roles dot YAML not getting updated? So I just replied to them that it is based on the Kubebuilder markers, which are in our sample project added in controller.go. But basically it's the Kubebuilder markers which are used by controller gen, which scaffold out roles.yaml. And the one thing which I realized was when looking through the documentation in Kubebuilder, we actually didn't have any documentation on that. Whereas operator SDK has like at least some documentation on it. So I just added the documentation label to it. And if it's accepted, we should like, could we have more documentation on our back labels?
sure. I think we can just change the code and the paste from SDK
Yeah.
now, right? And add here. Good first issue.
Yeah, it's a good first issue. And help wanted.
Okay, project. Well, always want to help. Why not? Why not? Now, okay. This one, okay. It's something about the labels that we have now. Name should be the name of the application. Okay, I think that we need to come back in the document, analyze if it is wrong or if it's right the way that we implemented here and discuss here, right?
Yeah.
Because I will be unable to do that. We need to look here, look at what we are actually scaffold, ensure that if it's right or wrong, and you put your thoughts there.
Yeah, makes sense because on the top of my head, even I can't remember.
These things about conventions and the labels has many labels there. It has an example, has the reasons. I remember that when we did this pull request, we discussed a lot about what value would be in each label, right? So yeah, my memory is terrible. I don't remember anyone. But it maybe is wrong. right? I need to come back and review. So I think it's that. We have also we have only 5 minutes. I don't know if someone would like to speak something, to bring any additional topic. We have something in the chat. They okay. So can we call a day today and finish the meeting? And I would like to say really thank you, folks. Really thank you for all contributions and help. That has been very nice.
Thanks, Kamala.
Thanks,
Thank
Camila.
you.
Thanks, Bashar.